welcome to the Hockey Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ryan Gilbert, and joining me is my co-host, Joel Meyer. Joel, how are we doing today?
We're hanging in there. We're surviving. Had a late night last night. I went to a death metal show, and it was fitting because during the day I learned that this female security guard died via stabbing in the neck on the same day. This city has got to fucking shit. But it's not even that big of a deal around here because this shit just continues to happen increasingly. But yeah, that sucked.
A security guard for what? For like a concert venue?
No. It was something unrelated. At a business nearby. That was a tragedy that happened, and then went to the death metal show. That was fun, at least. Late night. So I'm here. We're powering through. We got the season coming up in a week, so we got to get going. I'm here. I'm alive.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, it's October in a week now. I'm feeling better now. I told Joel before the show, I was tired today. I got up early, didn't sleep well, worked all day, got some blood work done today. But no, feeling better now. Got some electrolytes in me, got some Gatorade here, so feeling better. Good weekend of betting, thanks to all the boosts on DraftKings and whatnot. So shout out them. I finally got a new suit for myself, which is impressive because I'm so tall. So I ordered from a website called American Tall, and it came and it's very nice. So looking forward to wearing that to a wedding I'm going to.
Cool. Love a good suit. Love weddings too. Like, get the chance to dress up and then tear it apart. A lot of booze and whatnot. Yeah. So good for you, man.
Yeah. All right. Top of the show here. Make sure you are subscribed to the Hockey Gambling Podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Download everywhere. Subscribe everywhere. Every subscription and download counts. We appreciate all of that. Follow on Twitter at HockeySGPN and get in the Discord, sg.pn/Discord. We just got 3 central teams to get into today. Last show we did the Blackhawks, Blues, and Utah, I believe, were the 3 bottom ones. Now we're getting into the meat of the Central. I mean, you got 3 teams that are favored pretty good to make the playoffs. So tough division here in the Central in this upcoming season. Before that, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Sports Gambling Podcast. Doug Stanhope, Brendan Walsh, and Sean Green host the newest podcast on SGPN. Get to the points every Thursday before the game. Doug, Brendan, and Sean give out their favorite plays and talk a ton of shit. Doug and Brendan's are professional comedians. You may know from the Joe Rogan podcast, the Howard Stern Show, and Comedy Central. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, if we're not funny enough for you guys, you can go listen to some actual comedians talk there. But Joel, let's get into your favorite team, the Minnesota Wild. Hello, is there a lag?
Is that me lagging out or you?
I don't know.
I didn't catch much of that. All right. Well, the Minnesota Wild.
Go Wild.
I heard that part. Yeah, it's my favorite team. Last season I always talk about the European trip causing problems for teams, and I think that was certainly the case with the Minnesota Wild. They were kind of on a losing skid going into it, but when they got back from Europe, I think they lost both games too over there in Sweden. But when they got back, things did not get better. Things went off the rails. They had to fire their coach, and the replacement coach didn't do a lot better. There wasn't a true dead cat bounce for the Minnesota Wild. Just another middling season for them, unfortunately. But the one bright spot was Brock Faber. I think he had a legitimate case to win the Calder. Certainly a lot of the voters thought so. He got some love there. But of course, it was always going to be Connor Bedard. He has got the name value and he's got the highlights. But Brock Faber, I think, in terms of his contributions to the Minnesota Wild, offensively, defensively, he certainly deserved to be in the mix for the Calder. So that's encouraging for the Wild to get that kind of guy on their team now. A legit number one D-man. Like, this guy's already like a top 10 guy on the back end. So that's definitely a bright spot for the Wild. But overall, middling season. But that's what you can expect when you're paying so much in these fucking buyouts. But only one more year for them to endure these the buyouts for Parise and Suter, and then they can finally field ice a true competitive team with not so much dead cap on the books. But yeah, last season, Gustafsson, he kind of fell apart. He was awesome the year before, but very much an average goalie. Fleury, same kind of thing, but you don't really expect a lot from him at his age. But yeah, not a lot to write home about. It's just Brock Faber, I think, is the big story for the Minnesota Wild's 2023, 2024 season. So yeah, you got that guy locked up. He's going to be a stud for a long time. So that's the most encouraging thing. You still got Kaprizov at a good age. So the Wild should be better going forward, especially after these fucking buyouts finally are off the books.
Yeah, last season, kind of a middling season for the Wild. Their over-under was 96.5, according here to Hockey Reference, got 87. So about 10 points under their total. You mentioned the coaching change. I saw John Hines is like the 12th longest tenured coach, and he was just hired in the middle of last season. So that shows how quickly teams are going through coaches nowadays. But yeah, I mean, it's Kaprizov and Brock Faber. That was the story of the season for them. Besides them, good year for Matt Boldy, age 22 season, had 69 points, 29 goals. Joel Eriksson Ek had 30 goals. I never thought he would be good enough to score 30 goals, but he did that. Brock Faber, 21. Marco Rossi, 40 points, age 22. So they got a decent young core, but as you mentioned, and as Talon loved to mention, they have $14.7 million dead cap due to Chuck Fletcher signing Zach Parise and Ryan Suter there. So 16% of the cap is tied up. So,
you have to get your barb at Chuck Fletcher in there. Right?
Absolutely. Every chance I get. So yeah, last season was fine for the Wild. 15th expected goals for percentage, 6th worst expected goals for per 60, but the league best expected goals against per 60, which I guess makes sense why you like them. I don't think that's a spoiler. I think you mentioned that before. That's probably why your model likes them, maybe. PDO right there, 0.999, so almost exactly on the one that you expect. So yeah, just a kind of a middling season for the Wild, as I said, as they kind of wait another year for their cap space.
You're right. Yeah, they were the best in terms of the expected goals against. I'm surprised by that. I didn't look at that previously. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing to have going forward. It shows that there can be some more positive variance as long as they keep up that defensive effort and structure. So yeah, I think that the Wild would be good going forward. But before we get into that, we got to go through their kind of, again, middling off season. There's not a lot you can do with the Parise and Suter buyouts, limiting them financially. Really, like looking at this, they added Jakub Trenin, Alex Goligoski, and somebody named Dakota Mermaid. I don't know. Never heard of that guy in my life. So, yeah, I don't know what else you could say about this offseason. Jakub Trenin, he was pretty good with the Avalanche. Really competitive, strong, bottom six player. I remember him with the Predators before. Solid player. I think that he'll fit right in there with the Wild. Like just another middling guy who will do the dirty work. Not going to flash much, but will contribute in terms of their depth. And yeah, I don't think they lost really anything in Goligoski or the Mermaid here. So I don't know. I don't know. You have to add an asterisk to their grade because of, like you said, Chuck Fletcher limiting this team with those Parise Suter contracts. There's not a lot you could do when you're dealing with that kind of thing. And yeah, I think that speaks to them believing in the group that they have. So I don't have a big problem with this. So I don't know, C+. It's just like I said, if I could give a team a non-grade, this would be it. Nothing happened. I don't think that they got any better with these minor additions or subtractions. So yeah, as Archer mentions in the chat, Spurgeon and Brodin are back. They did have some, they missed a lot of time last year with the injuries, but yeah, I don't think that they're past their prime as well. But either way, it's still good to get them back.
Yeah, I mean, this is if it's a pass. If it was a pass fail, it'd be a pass off season or like an incomplete, like you said, because yeah, they have so much dead cap space. Couldn't really do a ton, but they did. They locked up Brock Faber to a pretty good contract, 8 years, $8.5 million. So locked him up early. So as the cap rises, it's going to look even better and better as long as he stays on his trajectory. And looking at their cap situation, they also re-signed Jacob Middleton, going from 2.4 million to 4.3, which seems to be fine for 4 years there. And they're not really overpaying anybody. Kaprizov 9 million, Matt Boldy 7 million. That's another good contract. Joel Eriksson Ek 5.2, Zuccarello 4, Foligno, Hartman 4 each. Like they have good contracts. So next offseason is going to definitely be one to watch for the Wild. This offseason, locking up Faber is good, but couldn't really do much besides that.
Agreed. Yeah, I forgot about the Faber deal there. That's a really good deal, I think. And he's an American too, right? Like the Americans are are loaded defensively.
You don't want the Olympics back. We're gonna wipe you.
I don't know. It's Canadian offense against American defense. Going back to the World Juniors.
Binnington's Canadian, right? He'll be your goalie.
Yeah. Binnington is our best chance at producing a legitimate number one goalie in net for the Canadians. That's gonna be fun anyway. Going back to like the World Juniors, we backed the Americans with their stud defense, and the Canadians offense did not have the goods. So maybe we'll have to back the Americans again. Unfortunately, we've got to put our biases aside and just pick the right bet. But I don't want to do it. But anyway, that's a story for January or February, or whenever the fuck the face-off four-man face-off. What's it called?
Four Nations face-off.
Four Nations face-off.
Mid-February, I believe.
Right. Yeah. So we'll get into that at that point. We'll see what happens. This season, those injuries that Archer mentioned, I think maybe we'll get some positive regression there, and I like the development of their young guys, like you said, Matt Boldy, Brock Faber, of course. Again, I think this team is primed to take a big step forward. Like I said, they were fucked by the European trip last year, and this year they don't have to go to Europe, thankfully, and they can work on having a consistent schedule and not to deal with the interruption in their routines and whatnot. And I just really like this team. Like you mentioned, the expected goals against stat factors favorably for them going forward. It's a matter of if Brock Faber has a sophomore slump, of course, like he had such a good rookie season. We saw the same kind of thing from Mort's side with the Red Wings. He had a tough second year, not terrible, but certainly not as good as his rookie year. We see that so often with these second year guys. After a terrific rookie season, they tend to struggle the next year. So hopefully that doesn't happen for the Wild's sake. So regardless, I think that this team is a little bit undervalued in the market. So the 93.5 there, I think that's a good bet to the over. That's what I bet. You could bet them to make the playoffs minus 140 instead, but I think you'll just get a better price there with 93.5 because if you get over 93.5, you're probably going to make the playoffs anyway. So like a minus 110 price there would be a good discount on the make playoffs bet. No interest in division. I think that the other teams are still clearly a step ahead of them with the Stars, Avalanche, and Predators, but 10-1 is kind of juicy, I guess, but I didn't bet that. I'm not interested in that, but I do think that they finish fourth or fifth in the division, which should be enough to make the playoffs. But the only thing I bet is the over 93.5 points on the Minnesota Mild.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm just like a hater. I'm just not a fan of this team. Maybe it's the division. Like the four teams ahead of them are definitely better than them, and the two teams we're going to talk about, and then the Avalanche and the Stars. So I don't know. I think they might get their point total, but I don't see them being 7 points better. I would have to go with the under. Getting Spurgeon back will help, but I'm seeing his injuries were hip and back injuries, and at 34 years old, that can definitely.
He wasn't any good anyway. Like Brodin is still better.
Yeah, and Brodin played 62 games, so he played most of the season. But they did have the 10th most chip, as you like to reference, the cap hit of injured players. Most of that was to defensemen. I'm seeing here Matt Boldy's out week to week with some sort of injury. I mean, that shouldn't bother him too much as long as he's back sometime in October. But I don't know. I just not really buying into this Wild team. If anything, take missed playoffs plus 120. I just they'll have to be the fifth team in this division to make the playoffs, which doesn't happen too often. But I mean, we went over the Pacific, and I didn't really like too many teams there either. So maybe they sneak in, but I'm not confident enough to bet anything on them there. You want to go over the potential player awards now? Brock Faber for Norris?
Oh yeah. Well, if he's still 75-1 or better, I think that's still bettable.
He's 75-1 some places, and he's 50-1 some places. I looked it up earlier today.
Yeah, that's our bet for the Norris. I think that's a good long shot that has a lot of potential to come in. I mean, we mentioned that he just nearly won the Calder Trophy and only didn't win because of the name value of Connor Bedard. And now, if this team are a playoff team, then that's going to be live if he's instrumental in them making the playoffs. So yes, Brock Faber is a good bet to win the Norris. Yeah, it's one of the few bets I've made in that market. I mean, they're all super long shots so far. Like they're all like 3 digits or longer for myself.
Yeah, I think we got in when he was like 150 on some off books. But yeah, 75-1 still at DraftKings and Canby books, I bet Rivers, and then 50-1 at FanDuel, bet MGM, Caesars, stuff like that. So
we're going
still up there.
We're going head to head on this Wild team, I guess, with the point total at least. But I can understand why. Like you look at their centers.
I'm not actually betting it though. Like I'm
okay.
I would just lean. Did you bet the over?
I did bet the over, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you look at their centers like Ryan Hartman, Joel Eriksson-Ek. Joel Eriksson-Ek is a secondary Selke candidate, I guess. Like if Barkov didn't exist, maybe he'd have a chance. Marco Rossi, he's good, but like there's not a lot of inspiration going down the middle here. And Marat Kuznetsov is the fourth line center, apparently. I've never heard of him in my life, and I tend to know.
He's a rookie. He was a second round pick in 2020.
Oh.
So he played 16 games last year, only had 4 points.
Yeah. Shows how much I watch the Wild. Liam Ogren, I see, is on the Daily Faceoff projected starter list. That's interesting. He's a highly touted prospect there. We'll see if he gets time. But yeah, I just like the identity of this team. I think they'll just be like middling enough to produce enough to get to the mid 90s in their points. But yeah, it's not my favorite bet, but I do think that they get there.
Yeah, another player award I was potentially looking at is Kaprizov for Hart, but it's shorter than I thought. He's only 20-1 for that. 96 points last year, going into his age 27 season. So, hitting his prime. Only way I could see him getting it is like a Taylor Hall in the 2018 season, but there's way too many good players in a high scoring league now.
Yeah, agreed. That's just too short to bet.
Yeah. All right. That's it for the Wild. We are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is always adding to their awesome menu. They now have first touchdown projections. There are a ton of ways to win with NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, and more. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts and no sweat entries. So sign up with promo code HGP to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code HGP. All right, let's keep moving up this Central Division here, going up a few points to the Winnipeg Jets.
The Jets, yes. Very good season for them. Once again, though, they failed to be consistent in their performances. They had a great first half of the season. It kind of fell apart in the second third of the season. They kind of put things back together at the end. Didn't they win or am I thinking of the Avalanche? They were like 10 games in a row or something right at the end of the season. They had a nice run, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, they built up such a strong.
They did. They won their final 7 or 8 games here. 8 games.
Yeah. So they had a good end of the season, but the middle third of the season was not good at all. They let the division slip away after building up a strong lead in the division, and they had such a good defensive structure, best defensive team in the league. Plus, they had the Vezina winning goaltender Connor Hellebuck. He had an outstanding year, and he stayed healthy. The Jets were a team that were great for unders. I mean, I got to look it up what they went for. They're over unders, but I remember that their totals were always like 5.5, 6 at most, depending on who they're playing. Yeah, it's just a matter of their defense. The analytics guys loved them early on, and they rewarded them for it, just winning a ton of like 2-1, 2-0 games. And that's what led to Hellebuck winning the Vezina. But in the end, they still fell short in the playoffs again, where they totally fell apart. Like the defensive structure was totally absent. Like what the hell happened? Because the Avalanche scored at will on them. They were fucking high score. I think most of those games went over. I'm pretty sure, and there were some high scoring games in that series. Jets won the first game, a high scoring game, and then they lost every game after that, if I remember correctly. And yeah, that's just disappointing because that's 2 years in a row where they win the first game against the Knights in the year before, and then they lost every game after that. Or was it 4-2 in the Knights series? It might have been 4-2. Either way, they got to figure it out in the playoffs, I guess, because they didn't play like they did in the regular season in the series with the Avalanche. So it's got to be a failure of a season, And they lost Rick Bowness, their coach, their leader, and he was more in I guess because he was going out, but he was more encouraging than he was the year before. We just called him out for a bunch of shitbags for failing to turn up in the series against the Knights. But yeah, just not a good sign going forward. I mean, Hellebuyck is really the story, I guess, because he carried them a lot, but also their defense in general, the structure, the coaching that I mentioned from Rick Bowness really propelled them to a chance to win the division. So, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's still a failure of a season because they fell flat, way flat in the playoffs in a series where I bet the Jets to beat the Avalanche, and no, they did not. They didn't come close. Like even the first game, I did bet the Avalanche after that because I remember thinking that the Avalanche were the better team in that first game. The Jets just got a bit lucky, and thankfully I got some of my money back. But yeah, it's just they got to figure out in the playoffs. It's the simple matter of things.
Yeah, I mean, Jets flew past their point total, 91.5, got up to 110. But yeah, those playoff games, 7-6 in game one, and then 5-2, 6-2, 5-1, and 6-3. Like they could not stop anything in the playoffs. But yeah, Hellebuyck won the Vezina. I mean, he's always going to be, he's one of the few goalies now that you can count on to start like 60 games and have a great save percentage. I think he should be one of the Vezina favorites every year. I mean, he is again this year, so it makes sense. Kind of middle of the pack, expected goals 4%, 12th, 12th and 10th in expected goals for and against per 60, respectively there. PDO was the third best due to Hellebuyck's league best 5-on-5 save percentage, of course. But yeah, like you said, once again, fooled us in the playoffs with a first round exit. So has to be a failure in Bowness's final season. But yeah, I mean, after the buyouts of Wheeler and everybody and all the kind of tension there in the locker room was they had a great regular season, great end, and winning those final 8, as you said. But once again, choked for the division and then choked in the playoffs. So they came up small when it mattered.
Yeah. No arguments there. But in the offseason, they added some guys, a bunch of, again, middling players here. Jared Anderson-Dolan, Colin Miller, Hayden Fleury on defense, Mason Shaw, not familiar with that name. I think they lost more than they gained here with losing Brendan Dillon. He was a capable top 4 guy on defense. Sean Monahan, he played really well for them after they signed him from or they traded for with the Canadians there. And of course, Tyler Toffoli, losing him as well to the Sharks. Yeah, I think that they got worse on paper. Plus, they lost Rick Bowness, and we know he's one of the better coaches over the past few years, both with the Stars and the Jets. And we'll see if who's the coach now? It was an internal hire, wasn't it?
Scott Arniel, who was a former assistant.
Yeah, Scott Arniel, right? Yeah, I don't know anything about him. We'll see what that translates into. But yeah, for this offseason, just losing Dillon, Monahan, Toffoli, I think that this team got worse. And I mean, Hayden Fleury, I guess, is a capable player. Played well with the Hurricanes, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. If it's a quality like defenseman who's a low key, you barely know the name, he's probably played for the Hurricanes at some point. Yeah, it's C+ for this offseason with the Jets. It really depends on how they deal with the coaching transition. But at this point, I think that they are the worst team on paper. So that's not a good thing when you're supposed to be a competitive team. When you're supposed to win the division. You came close a couple times, and now you just lose some more players. It's not a good thing. So I think this team should be looking to be more aggressive in the offseason. So for that reason, we can't get them anything better than a C. Archer in the chat, boring ass Winnipeg. Indeed.
Boring ass, cold ass Winnipeg. Yeah, I mean, their offseason, they added a bunch of guys, lost a bunch of guys, but the guys they lost were better. Monahan, they added during the season. Toffoli, they added at the deadline too, I believe. Maybe not.
Yes.
Maybe that was the year before. Okay, yeah. And they lost Larry Brossoit. Larry Brossoit, who actually had a better save percentage of 927 than Hellebuck's 921. Brought in Capo Kakinen to replace him, but I think that's a definite downgrade. Maybe he can hold his own in those 20, 25 games he does have to play, but failed to really address anything on defense. I saw Ville Heinola, or have you pronounced that, has like an ankle infection, so that's going to affect their defensive depth as well. So, still just like Josh Morrissey, Dylan DeMeo on the top pair, Neil Pionk. So, yeah, they didn't really do too much there. Kylan Miller's the third pair guy. Hayden Fleury's third pair, seventh defenseman type. Like, yeah, they can lean on Hellebuyck, but they did not really do anything this offseason to help him. So this has to be worse than the Wild, because the Wild had their hands tied. The Jets could have made some moves and didn't. So maybe a D. Like, we rarely ever give a team an F. We tend to grade rather highly, because like giving a team an F it's hard. But like, yeah, maybe like a D plus, because I don't really like any of their moves. I guess finally getting Perfetti signed to a 2-year deal is their best move. But besides that, I think every position was a downgrade.
When you give someone a miserable grade, it makes you look bad if one of those players that they signed turns into an absolute stud. So it's safe to just tread the middle ground. So yeah, it's like you can look at all this stuff in hindsight and then grade it properly, but we're just trying to project forward. So it's really safe to just give them a middling grade because you don't know how these players are going to turn out. Maybe Brendan Dillon turns into a plug. Tyler Toffoli, like if he just stopped scoring, maybe they got out at the right time. I don't know, but yeah, so it's just safer to take the middle grade rather than just poo-pooing them all together.
Yeah, it is. Cold takes exposed. You want to avoid all that,
right? But it's good to have hot takes. I think good to have strong positions. It's just a matter of these off-season grades. I tend to stay away from that kind of thing. Anyway, projecting forward. Once again, this is not a team that I'm particularly high on or low on, I guess. I think that they'll be not as good as the last couple seasons. Losing Rick Bowness, a lot depends on the coach. So this is not a team that I would be willing to bet their point total over or under. I'd rather take like the bigger positions and maybe to miss the playoffs. That's what I did, but the price is a little too short now here. I think that they do make it ultimately, and plus 160 is just not good enough to fade that. So this is like, I think this is going to be another middling season. Not as good as the last couple of years. Losing Rick Bowness again. Hellebuyck, I really doubt that he has the same kind of performance as he did last year, and losing some scoring. And you look at their center depth now. Mark Scheifele, he's getting older. Vladislav Nemesnikov, I don't think that he should be a second line center. Adam Lowry, again, getting older. They still got some guys who played well, like namely the guys who came from the Kings. We got Gabriel Vilardi, he was a stud last year. And Kupari and Iafallo here projected on the fourth line. I think that they are better than that, and they deserve more time. Hopefully, speaking of getting more time, Cole Perfetti deserves more time. So maybe this new coach, Scott Arniel, is more welcoming of his talent than Rick Bowness was, who for whatever reason refused to play him. Same thing with Nikolai Ehlers. He was underutilized, I believe, with Rick Bowness's very conservative system. So maybe Scott Arniel is more willing to open up the offense and let these guys cook a little bit more. So that'll be interesting to follow. Maybe this team is not going to be as much of an under team as it was in the past couple of years under Rick Bowness. So that's something to look for. Maybe there's some value in betting some overs early on with the Jets, assuming that this new coach is a little bit more welcoming of the offensive potential of these players who were underutilized under Rick Bowness. So that's something to look for. Other than that, I got absolutely nothing to say about this team or bet on them or against them.
Yeah, I think we're kind of opposite. You like the Wild. I'm kind of down on the Wild. You're down on the Jets. I kind of like the Jets here. I mean, maybe it's my goalie bias here with Hellebuyck. He's been doing it every year. I mean, he'll maybe break down eventually, but he's been a workhorse for 5-7 years now for Winnipeg. I like Nemestikov isn't a second line center. I don't know if they can move Perfetti to center, but like they have a decent top six. Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers, I think are underrated. Mark Scheifele, he's decent. He's not going to be a star player, but he's the best player on their team by default. But it comes down to Hellebuck, and I think that's something that's huge. Like they're always in games. You can't count them out unless it's the playoffs, apparently. So don't mind them here. I saw 100 plus points is plus 140 at some books, plus 170 at Bet365. I don't mind that. 110 points is 5-1, which they hit last year just barely. So might take a sprinkle on that if you like the Jets at 5-1. Hellebuck 8-1 for Vezina. Wouldn't bet it now just because you can bet it during the season at a similar price. Wanted to get your thoughts, though, on Scott Arniel for Jack Adams. I only found odds at Bet Online at 30-1. They're 8-1 for the division, so I figure if they win the division, he has a pretty good chance. They're 35-1 for the President's Trophy. I don't think they have a chance at that. That's similar to the Jack Adams price. Is he someone who you think could get credit if the Jets win the division or come in second?
I mean, he has the advantage of being a new coach, but he has to significantly improve the team. And I don't think that he's going to be able to do that. You said 30-1. Yeah, just you gotta exceed your point total by a lot, and you also have to exceed the points you got the previous season a lot of the time, right?
That's the hard part because they got 110.
Exactly. So they got to have like a crazy season for him to win. I don't think that's realistic. Like President's Trophy, if you find odds on the Jets from the President's Trophy, I think that would be better. Even if they win the President's Trophy, I think that there's going to be other candidates that the voters would look to. So no, I have absolutely zero interest in Scott Arniel to win the Jack Adams. But one more thing I've got to disagree with. I think Josh Morrissey is the best player on the Jets.
Oh yeah, I was saying forward. Yeah, Josh Morrissey is the best player on the Jets. Yeah, he's probably maybe worth a sprinkle for for Norris if he's long enough. But I'm not sure what that's at. Yeah, President's Trophy for the Jets is 35-1, which is better than Arniel. So
there you go. Bet the Presidents instead.
Yeah, I've also seen some like number one seed in the West, number one seed in the East out there on some books. So price shop those compared to President's Trophy because if they're half or more, I mean it's better. And like the Oilers should run away with it anyway, but we'll see what happens.
Indeed.
I'm not sure if Archer's saying he thinks Kyle Connor is the best player on the Jets. He's saying Kyle Connor, you guys are cooked. LOL.
Give me Josh Morrissey. You know, I'm more predisposed to liking the defenseman though. So I got my biases, but I don't know. Kyle Connor's a scorer. Scheifele does more two-way stuff and a center. You know, you got to factor the center in there. Like centers are inherently more valuable. Yeah. And I think number one D-men are the most valuable.
Yeah, you got to fact. Yeah, centers and defensemen. You can't win without them.
That's right.
All right. We are brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. Easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. Support SGPN and get yourself access to another great book by signing up at BetUS. Use our link to sign up and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN. And of course, Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. I see everyone on Twitter touting their Rhythm plays that might not make sense in the beginning, but I saw someone had Commanders plus 7.5. Jaden Daniels Royce showed out there. So, check out Rhythm. You can get a 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right. Finally here, final team for this show is going to be the Nashville Predators, who are up at a 98.5 point total.
Yeah. Predators, again, kind of a tale of two seasons here, like with the Jets, where they were excellent in the first half and then kind of like middling in the second half. But the Predators, they were on a massive losing skid. But then the infamous decision by whether it was Barry Trotz or Andrew Burnett to not attend the U2 concert in Vegas turned the season around, and they went on a massive winning streak and finished strong going into the playoffs. They finally learned the system that Andrew Burnett runs. Like it's not the simplest system, and I guess it took some time. But the decision to not attend the U2 concert took the shine off of that. I think it was more the fact that it just took some time to develop some chemistry and some familiarity with Andrew Burnett's system is the bigger reason for their turnaround. But anyway, the U2 thing, it factors in there because they were an absolute force. And of course, Andrew Burnett finished second in Jack Adams voting. It was only because Rick Tocchet is a just runaway leader, like never a doubt, winning the division, of course, and just lifting a team from the depths of despair to a legitimate force and a division winner. He didn't have much of a chance at the end of the day, but I think that he deserved just as much love as Rick Tocchet, to be honest. The way that he's led this team, like you look at their lineup, it's not a lot of big name players, and he got them going. Like and even the big name players are past their prime, like Ryan O'Reilly. You got Phil Forsberg scoring again. He had most goals I think he ever had in his career, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure. And then we had defensively Roman Josi, another strong season for him. And the young guys continue to play well. Luke Evangelista, of course. This is a team that I was high on last year and a team that I'm going to be high on this year. I really like the coach. Andrew Burnett has done a hell of a job. I think that he deserves Jack Adams. We'll see if that transpires this year. It's going to be tougher now because he has to exceed expectations and be better than they were last year. So that's going to be tough. But regardless, I really like the coaching that they've done there. And this team were, I think, a better team than the Canucks in the playoff series there, and deserved that series even if Demko was out. But the Canucks just scored a couple more clutch goals. But it was like a 4-3 win that in like game 4, where the Canucks came back from was it 4-1 down, 3-0 down.
I think it was 3-1, and they scored like 2 empty netters or something, and 1-4-3.
Not empty netters. With the
goalie pull.
Yeah. So that was mad for the Canucks, but I think the Predators were the better team in that series, and that's another reason to believe that they can build on that season into a more successful 2024-2025 season. But absolutely love the coaching change. Like, people thought that this team were done, going to rebuild, but no. Like, Barry Trotz comes in, Andrew Burnett comes in, they turn it around. This team is all of a sudden marked for great things going forward with the young core, like a tremendous prospects actually now. So even though they're vets like Ryan O'Reilly, Forsberg's getting up there, Roman Josi, of course, Saros kind of at the end of his prime, certainly not at his youngest, but with these guys still in their competitive years and with a growing squad of young talents, I think that this team is primed well for the future. And last year was an excellent example of the path they're on, the things to come. They're on the right way. You got to give them an A, I think, for the Predators here. They exceeded their point total, and that's good. And I really like this team.
Yeah, Preds 99 points. Their point total was 87.5, so almost a dozen points there. Yeah, that whole U2 situation on February 15th, they lost 9-2 at home to the Stars to fall to 27-25-2. So 27 wins, 27 losses. Then they rattled off 8 in a row, won 14 out of 16, and finished the season on a 25-3 run there. So great run by the Preds. Unfortunately, couldn't get it done in the playoffs, but like you said, it definitely showed some encouraging signs moving forward. Getting to the advanced numbers here, expected goals 4%, 6th, expected goals 4/60, 3rd. Their expected goals against per 60 was only 13th, which, maybe not fit what you think about the Predators. But when you think about Andrew Burnett, you always talk about how much you love, how much they go high flying hockey there. So they showed that there. Yeah, Gustav Nyquist had 75 points as an aging veteran. Like, they had a lot of stuff going on. So great season last year for the Predators. They're yeah, they're going in the right direction. Luke Evangelista, like you said, 21 years old. Tommy Novak, a little bit older now, but still, a decent middle six center for them. So yeah, the Preds are just built as a deep team. Barry Trotz going up to the front office worked out for them. It's working out so far. Andrew Burnett's great behind the bench. So things are going well there in Nashville. So hopefully another good season for them.
Indeed. And they had a pretty busy offseason as well. Very active in free agency, signing Jonathan Marchessault, of course, Steven Stamkos from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Brady Shea from the Carolina Hurricanes. So highly active offseason. So they feel that they can win now. And obviously they wouldn't sign these guys who are, if not in their prime, at least still very competitive players for a lot of money if they didn't feel that they could win now. So that's a good sign. They lost Ryan McDonough, but really that's about it. I mean, the other guys I'm reading here, Tyson Barrie, Anthony Beauvillier, Jason Zucker, these guys are, they only signed Jason Zucker at the deadline. Jared Aarons and Dolan, like, they're not losing a lot here. So this team got a lot better on paper, and with another year learning the system of Andrew Burnett, I think the sky's the limit for this team. I bet them in multiple ways, and I think they continue to do well as long as Saros doesn't turn into a squid. He'll be all right. Losing Askarov was kind of unfortunate, but I think they could deal with that because they signed Saros to a long-term deal. He'll be their goalie for the next few years, for sure. And how old is Saros anyway? He's only 31, 32,
29 turns 30.
Oh, he's only 29. So yeah, they're good for a while. They don't need Askarov. So yeah, the Saros era is going to continue, and yeah, I don't see a reason to fade this team at all. So I bet them in multiple ways, pretty much every which way. Not so much in awards, but certainly the point total, the division, a little bit of Presidents, a little bit of Cup, a little bit of Western Conference. So yeah, I really like this team. I really doubt that they take a step back from last year. Everything's primed for them going forward. Better on paper, of course, injuries always happen. That can always derail a team, but if they stay healthy, I think this team can go as far as they want to.
Yeah, a fantastic offseason for the Predators. Possibly the best in the NHL. Adam Marchessault and Stamkos to replace Jared Anderson, Dolan, and Beauvillier and Jason Zucker. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the Predators' second line was last year, because now it's Stamkos, Novak, Marchessault, and they didn't really replace any top six wingers there. So fantastic offseason. Brady Shea as well, another top pair defenseman to pair with Roman Josi. Scott Wedgwood, I think, is a very good backup, and they were able to trade Askarov for another first-round pick. David Edstrom, who will probably play again over in the SHL or maybe AHL, might get caught up at some point, but mostly got another first-round pick. They got 3 first-round picks in next year's draft, 2 second-round picks. So if they want to make a move this year's deadline again, they can. Still have $4.6 million in cap space too, so they won't have to move stuff around to do that. So they're set up in a good position this offseason. Didn't really have to overpay too much for Stamkos. Got $8 million. Marchessault for 5.5, maybe a tad long given their ages, but they're going for it now, and they have those young guys on cheaper contracts to balance that out. And yeah, Saros and Wedgwood and net, love that as a tandem. This is the final year of Saros getting $5 million before his $7.74 million contract kicks in. So yeah, Predators are set up well for this season after this offseason. And I completely agree. I think, not play style wise or anything, but if you combine the Wild, their forwards and defense, and the goaltending of Winnipeg, you kind of have Nashville. Saros may not be as good as Hellebuyck, obviously, but you have the scoring with Marchessault, Stamkos, Forsberg. You have the defense with Josi and Brady Shea, who they just brought in. So this Predators team is built well. They're coached well. Love them to make the playoffs. I have -300 here listed.
The Predators are far more entertaining than either of those teams to watch.
I'm not saying play style wise. At all.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can still get them to make the playoffs at -265 at FanDuel. I would hammer that. You can get +260 for them to miss, Minus 286 is their second best, and then there's a minus 300. They're as long as minus 350 at BetMGM. So wide range of odds here on the Preds to make the playoffs. Love their over points. 110 points is plus 370. Could see them getting there. This is a team that, maybe got 11 points better now that they know Brunette's system, adding Stamkos, adding Shea, adding Marcia. So like the Predators aren't a team you think about as being one of the best in the league, but they're set up to be that this coming season.
Yeah. One more thing, just they were the biggest movers in terms of their Stanley Cup odds and division odds too. I'm not, I don't really like saying the numbers that I got, but just my point is that they dropped dramatically.
It's this isn't you touting. This is me asking you because I was like, I think the market. I don't think it overcorrected, but they're definitely respecting them a lot more now.
Oh yeah. For good reason, this is a team. Oh yeah, 950 for a division.
Ooh, down to 4 plus 4 to 1. I think there's a 5 to 1 out there, but still 4 to that's double.
Bruins beat Predators in the Cup 300 to 1, 30 to 1 to win the Cup, 10 to 1 to win the Western Conference. That's not as good, but yeah, the massive movement for this team for good reason. Market loves them for good reason. So yeah, I think that they're right, and hopefully they stay healthy, and we can see some of these cash.
Yeah, I think this is a team you might be able to buy the dip on. As you mentioned, it took a little bit for them to get into Brunette's system, so it may take a bit for Marchessault and Stamkos and Shea to get acclimated. So maybe buy a dip if there is one. They're 18 to 1, 16 to 1 now for the Cup. They're a team built to win the Cup. They have goaltending. They have the center depth. They have Ryan O'Reilly, who's won Conn Smythe before. So they have all the pieces. So buy this team for the long term.
And they have a great farm team. So the Milwaukee Admirals, I'm pretty sure, is their AHL affiliate.
Yeah.
And they're like one of the best teams in the AHL for sure. So even without Askarov in there anymore, they do have some guys to pull up. Kind of like the Stars last year, bringing in like Stankoven. That's just going to be the same kind of thing with the Predators and some of the guys they can bring in.
Yeah, Predators, I mean, I was shocked when I saw that they had the third highest point total in this division, but after going through it, like it makes a ton of sense.
Absolutely.
As Archer points out in the chat, to just throw a knife in our heart, Marchessault has also won.
Thanks.
A Conn Smythe.
We really need to be reminded about that.
Thanks, Archer. Appreciate it.
2 Conn Smythe winners.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up the point totals from some of these Milwaukee Admiral players last year. I don't know. Can't find it. Let me go. Let me search by team. Milwaukee Admirals. Igor Afanasyev had 54 points in 56 games. Zach Leroux had 48 points in 66 games. Mark Jankowski, 47 points in 40 games.
He's an older guy.
How old is he now? Yeah. He's 30 now. I don't know if he's still with the organization, but he could be a decent, fourth line call up if he has to.
There's some young guys on the team. I'm not thinking of them at the moment, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that they have that opportunity. They will take it later on in the season.
Yeah, definitely. Matthew Wood was a 15th pick last year, college guy.
Yeah.
Tanner Molendyk is a 24th pick defenseman. Molendyk, yeah. Joakim Kamel. He's with Milwaukee last year.
These are the guys I recognize. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I got their top prospect list now rather than looking at the
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Yeah. So yeah, Preds definitely a team to watch this season.
Absolutely. Hopefully Andrew Brunette doesn't win the Jack Adams this year after hammering him like 50 to 1. I mean, it's fine. Rick talking to it's a windfall, but still, there was crazy prices for Andrew Brunette to win. 100 to 1. I had him too. Like 2 months left in the season, he was 100 to 1. He finished second in voting. So yeah, it's just one of those things.
Any player awards for the Preds? Yossi is 12 to 1. Don't think that's long enough for the Norris, but if that power play goes off with Stamkos, him at the point, get Marchessault in there, you could see him rack up the power play points, but I think he missed his chance when he lost a few years ago.
I bet
he finished second last year. I did not remember that.
I bet Forsberg for the Richard at 40 to 1. That's my only Predators award.
Okay. Yeah, Yossi had 62% of the vote last year to Quinn Hughes' 96. So, maybe if Quinn Hughes takes a step back, Yossi keeps it up.
Stamkos for Rocket Richard? I'll try and find it as well.
I don't know if my odds
Archer
comparison site has
brought it
Rocket
up.
Richard.
I'll find it. You talk.
Yeah, Stamkos. I mean, I don't know if he has it in him to score as many goals as he has before. Like, what is his? I mean, he scored 40 last year. That's more than I thought. 34 a year before, 42 a year before. Career high 60, of course, back in his age 21 season. Ooh,
yeah, Stamkos is 35-1. Forsberg's down to 18-1. So apparently, I made a pretty good bet there at 40. Yeah, I think I'd rather have Stamkos now at 35 than Forsberg at 18. So
I
disregard
don't
that.
hate that at all. Stamkos 75-1.
Oh, there you go.
At DraftKings.
There you go. I might have to.
What did you say it was? Like 30?
At 365, 35-1.
Forsberg's 25-1, but yeah, Stamkos 75-1. That's not bad right there.
That's pretty good.
Good call out there by Archer. Unfortunately. And Joel's gone. I gotta talk more for myself. Joel lagged out before. Now he's officially gone. We gave Archer a little bit too much praise here. But yeah, Stamkos last season, 40 goals, 15% shooting percentage. Joel's back here. So yeah, Stamkos. Joel, you had to leave because we gave Archer too much praise, right?
Yeah, I had to leave out of shame. Yes. Yeah. Are we done?
Yeah, I think we're done here. You got anything from the weekend you want to go over, or just we'll be back tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
tomorrow
I haven't really consolidated my football stuff. Good week though in the NFL for me. Very good week, but college once again, fucking failure. I went bowling though on Saturday night, and apparently I'm pretty good. Like there were like 15, 16 of us. I finished third, and I almost finished first. But
what did you score?
I don't remember the score, but I remember it was pretty close. Like I had the lead.
Was it like 150, 200? Like, did you get any strikes?
Yeah, we played 2 rounds. The second round, I played pretty well. I got 2 strikes in a row.
Oh, almost a turkey.
I was rolling it. Oh, is that what you call it? With 3?
Yeah, you get 3 in a row. You get a turkey.
Okay.
Did the bowling
I haven't been bowling in years, but I thought I was terrible. But apparently, I'm fucking good. So
did it have like
I was
one
getting
of those
really
screens?
competitive. Like, okay, got to take this seriously now. I can win. Oh,
yeah. Did it have like one of those screens where it would like show graphics after every shot? Yeah. That's
like I don't know, like Disney shows and whatever.
Yeah, clips of shit.
Yeah, that was fun.
Nice. All right, to close out here, make sure you are subscribed to the Hockey Gambling Podcast, Apple, Spotify. It all helps here before the new season, helps the visibility. If you like what you hear, leave a review, tell a friend. It's the best way to get new podcast listeners. Tell a friend. Or just create new accounts and just download it. Is what it is. Follow on Twitter at HockeySGPN. Get in the Discord, sg.pn/hockey. I'm Ryan Gilbert. You can follow me on Twitter at rgilbertsop.
And I'm Joel Myron. You can find me shouting out Catfish Dilly for shouting us out on the Sports Gambling Podcast. He had a legendary call and drunk as fuck. Like we were talking in the voice channel too. Like he was just doing shot after shot, beer after beer, and then he calls into the Sports Gambling Podcast and brought up us hockey boys. So we appreciate that, Catfish Dilly.
I posted that in the Discord. I'll try to cut that for tomorrow. We can play that on here. I do appreciate the shout out. Catfish fucking Dilly, baby boys.
Baby boys.
See ya.